Hello everyone, and welcome to the final video in the series on my Notion Rentals, Sales, and Labor CRM. If you've made it this far, congratulations. I feel this is a pretty dense video series, and I commend you for sticking with it. We are at the point where we have invoiced our Christmas party, we have billed for L&D, got all of our affairs in order, and can put the order out of our minds. It feels good to have made a few $1,000s. What this video will be about is the other database page right at the bottom of our database deck right here. The main one will be the to-do list, which you'll notice hasn't gotten much attention up to this point. So let's go into this page. You'll be greeted with a mercifully simple page containing all the background databases that'll help make the CRM work, but don't need to be front and center. The biggest one will be the to-do database, so let's see what that's all about. You'll be greeted with everything you are scheduled to do on today's date, and a bunch of tabs in the top that will help you see what your week, what your month, and what your everything will look like. The ones we see here are automatically added to the to-do list whenever you add a new order to keep you on schedule for things like following up with clients about quotes, invoices, fixing broken items, all that. If we look at the templates, we'll see all the ones that will be automated across the CRM. Let's make a new reservation just to see what we're talking about. We just made a new order dated for next week. As I said in the very first video in the series, each one of these have a specific due date based on what they are. So send a client quote is the day the reservation was made. Follow up about quote is 2 days after the reservation was made. Check-in items is the last day of the order, so on and so forth. I won't go through each one here, but you're more than welcome to look through the formula properties to find out what the deal is with each one. Speaking of the properties, let's look at a to-do item. Going down, we have the done property, which determines if this is done yet, then the auto due date, which is the property we see in all the views in our database. This can be overwritten by the custom due date if you want to push back certain items or take control of when they're due. But by default, it will be due the day it was made. Looking into the auto due date property, we get a glimpse of how much time I had when I was unemployed for a month in 2024. Essentially, this property has every eventuality covered in terms of showing you, in a nice way, when a given item is due. All of this will, if the created task is a default one made when you create a new reservation, look at what the task is and determine when it needs to be done. Then it would take into account weekends and not return any date if it lands on a weekend. For example, if you send a quote to someone on Thursday, the task to follow up with client will automatically be dated 2 days afterwards, but that's actually a Saturday, which means the system will actually make this due the day before. Basically, the things dated for a Saturday will be reworked to Friday, and things dated to Sunday will be reworked to Monday. The next property is the overdue property, which keeps you honest about how far a task is or how long it's been since it should have been completed. Honestly, it's another example of how much free time I had in 2024. Anyway, moving down, we have the order this task is associated with and the start and end date from the order that we need for the calculations above. And that about covers the to-do list database. There's not much else to say. It's a to-do list database. Moving on, we have the address book, which is where all of our addresses from our shipping information came from all those videos ago. We can add as many as we want to easily reference them later. These are also connected to the accounts and contacts databases, where wherever you make a new page in those databases, a new page in the address book will be created, with their addresses rolled up into this page for your convenience. That way, you don't have to worry about going in here to make changes. Whenever you add a new contact or account, it'll automatically show up here. That way, you don't have to worry about going in here too often and making changes. So let's look at vendor 1 for example. Since making the script for this video, I've added a section to the accounts and contacts databases that shows the related page from the address book database. If you don't use the buttons on the home page to create a new account contact, you will have to add the new page to the address book yourself, but it's right here in the page, so it shouldn't be too hard. Either way, you're going to want to change the name of the address page from the default name since there's no information to pull from when creating a new contact or account. So be sure to double check that everything looks right whenever you make a new contact or account. Okay, moving to the shipping database, this is the source database for all those times we chose the beginning and end dates of POs and orders and how things are getting from A to B. Now, you might have noticed, whenever I send invoices and quotes, I try not to give the client a property with a related page directly in view, but a formula property that returns the page as plain text. The reason for this is, if it's a direct relation to a page in your workspace, it will show up as a clickable link on the PDF you sent to the client, and you might not want that, because the page they enter once they click on it has breadcrumbs to your entire Notion workspace. It's not ideal, it's one of the drawbacks of using Notion as a PDF exporter, so that's why I have all these extra properties here. So that's the shipping database, and the last database here is the gear wish list, which is just a place for you to notate what gear you want to purchase, how much it would be, a link to that item, and what date it was purchased on. It's just a little thing for you. And finally, a syncs block for all the quote and invoice templates that you use to send your information to clients. You can change things here and it will change all across the workspace. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed working here. I've done my best to think of everything that a professional might need, and if you feel like you might want to check out this workspace yourself, visit my Gumroad link in the description below. I trust that the learning curve is mercifully short because of this tutorial series, and that you go off to grow your business with the CRM to help organize things. Take care, and have a great one.